Welcome back to REI Closers. We are doing a live call breakdown today. This is going to be a fun one. Peter Limberopoulos, big closer in the REI Closers community and just absolutely crushing it. And this is a pre-foreclosure lead that he closed recently. I think she was about 10 days away from the auction. So this is a house in San Antonio. After repair value is about $235, $240. Initial message was sent over text, no answer. Follow up, no answer. 5 days later, we said, hey, Samantha, it's Peter. The auction's about 10 days away. You aren't just going to let it get auctioned off, are you? And she said, not opposed. What are other options? We actually called her and she went straight to voicemail. And then we called her second time. Always call 2, even 3 times, because first call, a lot of times it goes straight to spam and they're not going to answer. Second one, they realize that this is important. She answers the call. I'd say a third one, they think this is an emergency. Third call can be good. Be careful with whatever system. You got to be registered now in Texas and all these different things. But I'm going to start breaking this down. This was on the second call after she didn't answer the first one.
Hey, Samantha, this is Peter. How you doing?
Hi, I didn't know the number, so I declined it. My bad.
Yeah, I know we had reached out about that property. It looks like the auction's coming up in a little bit over a week. I mean, what's the plan up until this point?
Honestly, I don't have a plan. I was in the middle of going through a divorce. I lost my job. I just got a job. So I don't really, yeah, it's been fun. I'm a single mom. So I'm not really sure what to do at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear you're going through all that. I'm sure that's been tough navigating.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm on the upside of it all, so it's good.
Yeah, well, I guess regarding the divorce and everything, should I feel sorry for you or should I congratulate you?
No, this is a congratulatory thing, absolutely.
Okay.
My choice.
There we go.
But yeah,
there we
definitely
go. Kick that asshole to the curb, right?
Absolutely.
So this first thing is super important. Like that first 1 minute just set everything for the tone of the call. And it's something I bet 99% of people don't do. And it's just night and day difference where people like don't realize how important it is to make someone laugh, build a connection. The initial thing, asking the question, okay, what have you done at this point? Trying to figure out like, what have they been working for? Let's like dive deep. People try to think, I got to know this exact script. I just want to know what their situation is and genuinely be curious. You can't fake, the genuineness of a conversation. You want to see what's happening, what's been going on. Have you been able to do anything? Because she hasn't been able to figure anything out and she's just stuck. She needs to hear from him. So he wants to say, okay, let's confirm, what have you done so far? And she says nothing. But when she says the divorce thing, we actually got this from, I think it was, I don't even remember where we saw it, but anytime someone says they're divorced, we go, okay, should I congratulate you or should I feel bad? And she immediately was like, oh, congratulate me. And it kicks it off to this like amazing start to the conversation because he can now side with her. Oh, okay, you got this asshole, off the curb now. And she's just able to build a connection with him within the first 2 minutes. So super important on building rapport at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, good to hear at least that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what does the house kind of stand as far as the divorce goes? Like, is that finalized?
No,
okay.
We're not finalized, but the house is in my name, and he's never paid like anything towards it, so he's like walking away from it.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So that's catching up a little bit on the details here with the mortgage company. Is how much are they asking for to reinstate the loan?
Honestly, I don't know the exact amount to this date. Before it was like $20,000 or something crazy, and how am I supposed to do that? Like I just secured a position, so I've really been. It's terrible, but I've been a little bit avoidant because I know I don't have it, and this is the first home I've ever owned, so I'm like I don't know what I'm doing right now, to be honest with you.
No, that's okay. That's unfortunately what most people in this position kind of find themselves in that position, and that's a lot of why I reach out. Is my family's been through a similar process, and we didn't necessarily understand our options, so I try to help educate people and fill them in on those options. I mean, just a little backstory on me. I was 3 or 4 years old. My parents went through a divorce. I mean, I was unfortunately not in a position to be able to help my mom, obviously, when I was 3, but raised by a single mother who walked away from her home with no money in her pocket, and unfortunately has a foreclosure on her record, which was more so the bigger blow.
That's the part I'm worried about. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we couldn't get rent a house or get any kind of financing or anything like that. I mean, luckily our grandparents had taken us in, so like we had a roof over our head, but not everybody's in a position like that. So
yeah.
I mean, we're kind kind of at nut crunching time where we're really close to this auction here, but if there wasn't a way to be able to stop this, is there at least somewhere you can stay, or like
yeah,
what would that look like?
My parents are fine to take me in. I think the biggest thing, and I've already planned to because their house is coming to me anyways, but the thing is, I'm like, I don't want a foreclosure on my record, and I don't want to like walk away from everything I did invest into the house.
So this is really important. I let that play for a little bit. It's crazy to hear Peter's story too. And the key with all this is actually having genuine story. You can't make that up. I know people that actually make up stories like that, and it's just terrible. It's not ethical, right? It's actually Peter's real story. That's why he's able to have a genuine conversation. Something when he was really little that they went through. So being able to understand like from that position, okay, I want to show you my options, and being able to have a genuine conversation with someone is huge, because again, it breaks their guard down. They realize you're there to help, and really going back to the situation of, okay, putting everything in their head, right? It's more of like understanding and trying to help them before just getting onto all the details. So many people just go straight to the details of like, yeah, we want to figure out what they're behind on their mortgage. Like he catching up to speed with what's been going on. But when it comes down to it, it's not like, hey, we can buy your house for this, right? There's a lot of steps that go into it so that someone can trust you to be able to get this deal done. Part of that is just helping her like, hey, what is your plan as far as being able to go somewhere, right? Do you need to get the money to get into a rental? This is nice to know before, because it helps you know, okay, is she expecting X amount of cash so she can try and rent, put a deposit down? Is it a family house she's going to? What kind of support does she have? I really want to know, like, do they have an income? Do they have a job? So it's nice to know, okay, she has family, and there's at least this like weight off her shoulder already, unlike some of these leads that think they can't have any sort of backup plan other than staying in the house because they don't know where they're going to go, or they don't know if they're going to get money out of it. So asking these questions and being genuine from the beginning helps a ton for later in the call, because he already knows these things, that she has, you know, a house that's probably coming to her. I'm going to put this next stuff on for the rest of it on 1.5x speed, just so we can blast through this and start to go over some of these.
You know?
Right. No, I totally understand. So, and that's the difficult part with it. So, I mean, how long have you had the house for?
About probably 6 years now. 2013? No, 20. Oh man, it's been a while. 2016. Sorry.
Close
to
so 8 like 9 years.
Yeah, not 10. Okay. I wouldn't say 10. My daughter was just starting school. About 9 years.
Okay. So I know you said it's around 20 grand is what's owed to them to catch the loan up. I mean, do you have an idea what the unpaid principal on the loan is?
No. I can get that information. I tried calling them, and their hours were. Sorry, it's starting.
Let it fly. I don't care.
So I plan to call them in the morning and get like kind of the final numbers of everything. Because obviously you're not the first person to reach out to me, but I just don't know who to trust and like where to go really. So
yeah, no, I get it. That's the most difficult part, honestly. You know, who's legit, who's helping, who's doing all that stuff. So, well, I'll just kind of shoot you straight. I mean, there's 5 or 6 different ways to be able to get the auction process stopped. The only problem is majority of them take anywhere from 30 to 60 days, and come Monday, going to be a week out from the auction.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're in an unfortunate spot where, you know, just pardon my directness here, but we're kind of staring down the barrel. They got a little something gets done here soon. Unfortunately, the mortgage company's going to take it away and, you know, slap an eviction notice on the door on, you know, which is what we can't have.
Huge right here, and again, this is why the first 5-10 minutes of the call is so big, because she's already been hit up by everyone. That's not a surprise. She's 10 days away from a foreclosure. They've been contacted by a million different people on text, phone call, door knock. She's had the opportunity to work with someone else. She just is anxious, and really has been avoiding it, like she said, and she doesn't know who to trust. So when you can go in, make a friend, and be the expert and be the one they trust, that's the most important thing in these situations with someone with a pre-foreclosure. And that's why so many people overcomplicate all this, right? It's really just being a human, making a friend, and having confidence. Even if you haven't done a ton of deals, you have the resources, you have the community, and kind of fake it till you make it. You got to be able to know how to help them, but being that guide for them is going to make them the most comfortable to work with you, because at the end of the day, them getting $2 or $3 or even $10,000 more from someone they don't trust and they have no idea if it's going to close is not better than just working with you, because you know you're going to get the deal across the finish line. You know you're going to get, you know, money in their pocket, stop their foreclosure, and get them into a better spot. So that's why I'm so confident on the phone, just like Peter is because he knows we can get this done. We've done this X amount of times. The person on the other side of the phone can feel that. So the trust is, again, super important, but now he's trying to figure out these details to figure out what can we actually do in this deal, right? So he's asked, what is the unpaid principal? So a lot of people don't realize this is what the total payoff on their loan is going to be the unpaid principal, right? That's the principal on the loan plus their back payments, which is the reinstatement. She said she's behind $20,000. That's what the reinstatement is. So the total payoff is going to be that reinstatement plus the full unpaid principal on the loan. So we're going to figure that out here shortly. I don't know exactly where it goes in the call, but that's what he's trying to figure out, because now he can see, okay, the after repair value is 230, 240. What does she actually owe? And then we'll get into the condition, all these things to figure out, okay, can we make a deal? Is there, the numbers make sense here?
So, a lot of homeowners in this, you're in a very similar situation with Sandy. She was going through a divorce, very similar, and just had lost some work because some health issues came up. Really just unfortunate timing with a bunch of different stuff going on in her life. It was one of those things where she had gotten back to work and kind of gotten over the stuff she was going on, health-wise, and could afford the monthly payments. It was more so just the snowball of debt that kind of built up on her, where she was just I just can't get out from under it. It's very much kind of like you're talking about. She's I just feel like it's an uphill battle. Or, she had decided with so much time this close to the auction, maybe it was best making sure she could get into something that was a little bit cheaper per month while she was going through a separation and could know she could afford it, and have to keep up with the responsibilities of keeping up with HVAC systems going out and mowing the grass and all that kind of stuff. She just had a set monthly payment, made sure a roof was over her family's head. We were able to make sure to get enough money in her pocket where she could get a moving truck, set up with a deposit somewhere, and cover a couple months worth of rent. She decided that was the best case scenario for her and her family. If that were something, and a lot of people like this option, it's not something we can help everyone out with just because of property condition, payoff on the loan, a bunch of different factors. But if it were possible, Samantha, to set something up like that for you too, do you think that may just be the best option at this point?
Probably, yeah. And did she still have the foreclosure on her record?
No, so that was the great part.
Then yes.
Right. And, so when we had closed on the house and made her that offer, we're gonna have to pull probably every string imaginable and jump through every hoop to get this done in time, just because we're so close.
Yeah.
But we have a great relationship with our title company and can still get it done. But that's the tough part, is as long as we close before the auction, yes, we're able to fund the mortgage company and get them their money, keep them off your back, and buy you a little bit more time in the house with a temporary lease back. That way you got time to get the kids situated, get stuff backed up, whatever it is you need to do. So.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. I think that's all it really is.
Yeah.
I don't, obviously I'd want to keep my home, but if that's the case, if that's the best case scenario, I'm willing to do that. Because the foreclosure is the biggest thing for me. I do have a place to go. My kids have rooms.
Right.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, I get
it's
you.
more I love a delay of time, actually.
So this is huge right here. A couple things that Peter does so well, and we go over this all the time in our sales trainings in the community, is third-party stories. To someone that's not from sales, this sounds like a foreign concept because they just want to answer or combat whatever is being said to them, right? You really have to paint the picture in someone's head, and there's no better way for them to feel it than by explaining a third-party story of someone that you've helped, right? And so this can be from someone else that you've seen do a deal. It doesn't have to be a direct deal if you're new, right? But for us, we have so many different stories, and he's bringing up Sandy, another deal we worked where someone is in foreclosure just like her, and she was getting through a divorce and couldn't afford to catch up the whole amount, but maybe she had a job now and she could technically afford the monthly payment. So painting someone else, making her realize hey, we've helped people in this exact situation, here's what they thought was best, was really just getting some money in their pocket to relocate, get into a cheaper monthly payment, and that way we could stop the foreclosure and just help her move forward. And by painting that picture, instead of just saying, hey, you want to sell your house, we can put some money in your pocket and do this, now it makes her think, okay, that's what's best. I don't know if I want to do this, versus here's how Sandy was in the same position, here's how Sandy was benefited. If you could be in that same spot, do you think that would make the most sense? And now it's well, yeah, that sounds good. I can get money, I can stop the foreclosure. And she asked that question, well, does that stop the foreclosure? And that's her biggest concern, right? Is yeah, I would like to keep it, but I really just need to make sure this foreclosure doesn't hit my record. And part of the reason she's also saying that is because of how pressing Peter was at the beginning and making them realize this is important. You can't have a foreclosure on your record. It's a 7-year nightmare. It's gonna be hard to rent, buy. It's gonna be on your record forever, and that's true, right? You don't wanna fear-monger someone, but at the same time, they gotta know this is important, and a foreclosure is the worst case situation. So by doing that prior, he set it up for now to where she understands this is urgent and we're 10 days away. And he does a lot of these pullbacks. People don't realize too how important a pullback is, just meaning there's a chance we can do this, but it's going to have to qualify based on the condition, the payoff on the loan, and really we're 10 days away. We're going to have to pull a bunch of strings. We can do it, but it's going to have to follow X, and X step in order for this to work. So it's still pulling back a little bit, not just saying, hey, we can get this done, here's what we can do. Still making sure we understand there is some things that got to qualify. So we're going to dive into this.
Right, and that's still an option for you. If keeping the home is the best thing for you, that definitely is still an option. Unfortunately, it would just take whatever that official reinstatement is to be able to get to them. If that's 20, 22, 25 grand, whatever it is, which, unless you're Jeff Bezos or something, a lot of us can't, have trouble coming up with that in a couple days, so, which I completely understand. But if you have, a lot of the times the mortgage company will send you an email or a printed copy just in the mail in your mailbox of the recent mortgage statement. That kind of gives you some of the info I need to see if it's something we can even help out with, so.
Okay, thank you, baby. Okay, give me just a second, and I'll see what I can find. I just got my mail key back, actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
Give me just a second.
while you yeah. Are you gonna have to go search for it? Can I ask you a couple questions about the house?
You can ask me while I look for it. That's fine. Give me just 1 second, though.
So just with some of the majors in the house, man, you guys have been there for 9, 10 years. Have you guys done any work to it? Like had to replace a roof or an HVAC system or anything?
No repllements, thank God. We did an inspection actually years ago, and I think the only thing that really came back was like there could be potential foundation stuff, but they weren't too pressed on it at the time. That was maybe like 3 years ago. But the house is kept in pretty good condition.
Maybe our carpet, just kind of stuff like that.
A sheetrock in the garage, like the ceiling sheetrock, there's some missing from there, like stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay. And I see it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, like just shy of 1,400 square feet. Does that sound right?
Yep. And then I do have a little back house in the back that has electricity that I've used previously, like for an office and stuff, but I stopped using it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so there's that little extra in the back.
Okay, here you go. And then as far as, I know you guys moved in about 10 years ago, do you know if the roof and HVAC were done like right before you had moved in?
Oh, they were right before, yeah. That was the biggest appeal, was the roof had just been done and all of the AC heating was done. So I've not had any issues. AC heating, like fantastic, knock on wood. I've never had issues with it, so it's great.
Gotcha, okay. And then as far as like cosmetically, I mean, I know it looks like the house was built in like the mid-80s.
86.
Is it all original? Yeah, is it all original from the 80s or did they remodel it?
No, they redid it. They remodeled it. So it looks fairly modern. So obviously not
Gotcha.
crazy, but like, redid the floors. Kitchen's not too bad. Like bathrooms look okay, It doesn't look like it's
right. Yeah, like granite countertops, like some of that stuff's in there.
Not granite, but I mean, it's pretty basic kitchen. But you can tell that they've done like, just like a little bit of remodeling to it. New light fixtures,
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm looking right now
Okay. Okay.
So all of this is qualifying now. She's trying to go find her mortgage statement. That tells you everything, right? So if you need to know what the principal balance is, the interest rate, the monthly payment, it'll even say the past due amount. I just want someone to pull up a mortgage statement. So I always tell them like, hey, you probably got a mortgage statement laying around. Can you go grab that real quick, or is it pop up on your email? They're like, oh, we probably have a piece of paper. If they don't, they should have an email or a login from their mortgage company. If they're in foreclosure, sometimes they can't log in, but again, they might have an email. A lot of times there's just a paper statement laying around. So that tells you a lot. That's what he's trying to find. But in the meantime, he's asking questions to qualify the condition of the house. If this is built in the 80s and I'm talking to a lead, I might be pretty concerned like, hey, there's probably a lot of repairs that could be done, but this lady sounds like she's on top of it, and I actually have all the pictures here because we did this deal, but it's in great shape. Like, relatively speaking, there's not much that had to be done to it, and she was pretty accurate, right? There's some minor stuff here and there cosmetically. The roof got done, the AC got done. She's maybe mentioned something about the foundation, but overall, in pretty good shape, and that's what he's trying to figure out as he's talking through all these questions.
You're good. So I'm sending some of this info over to our underwriters to see if it's something they'd be willing to work with once they kind of, obviously, with wherever they spit out their number, we need to make sure it correlates with that payoff. So
yeah.
Do you have an idea what your monthly payment is?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like with this new position I have, like I'm fine to cover everything at this point. It's just my position is very unique.
It's just a big amount.
Yeah. Let me see. So I purchased the home at 142, and it was just this last year and a half that I wasn't able to really make payments. And I refinanced. Let me see. They didn't really send me very much, to be honest with you. Kind of wild. I'd refinanced it last year to try to catch up on what I was behind from my previous. I've worked in a lot of startups, so layoffs are just terrible and shitty, and it happens. And it's happened twice at this point. And so I had done that last year, and it was fine, and then I lost my job too.
That could be part of the unfortunate part is, a lot of the times with the refinances coming pretty recently, it all just kind of depends how much you decided to pull out of the loan, because I'm sure they probably put you on like, what, a 6 or 7% interest rate now?
I don't even know. I don't even know. I can call them though, like first thing in the morning if you need, or if you think that, because I don't have anything in my mail right now. Let me see if I can get into the account online. Are you ready? So let's see, total amount due $14,836.55. My payments are very manageable. I don't have issues making the payments at this point. The current principal balance is $123, and the interest rate is 5.25. They didn't change the interest rate or anything. I actually had a really good amount paid out of it. I was doing pretty well. It says payments due, including unpaid fees and charges, is $17,353. Total accelerated amount is $135,641.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's good.
I know the house is worth way more than 123, or 135.
Yeah, it's just so typically with such a fast close like this, our underwriters have to be anywhere between like 65 to 70% of the retail number of the house minus whatever repairs need to be done. Reason being, there's a bunch of we cover all closing costs. There's no fees, anything like that. Once we come in and put in the work. We've got 6% on the back end with realtors, 2% with closing costs. We cover your 2% closing costs. We've got private money fees to be able to get the money in a week and do all that kind of stuff, right? So the good news is their cash offer is coming out to 139,600. So with that, you said that amount due that was accelerated was like 135.
Yeah.
So it should put pretty close to $5,000 in your pocket, like 4,600. Obviously, we'll order like an official reinstatement and everything like that from the mortgage company. But with like Sandy, that was kind of her magic number too, where she was able to get, a moving truck and that kind of stuff for like $500. Was able to put down a couple grand worth of a deposit and cover a couple months worth of rent with a couple grand. We can help. Or I guess you're moving in with your parents too, so that means more of it's just
I don't want to.
Right?
I don't want to.
I get you.
Yeah, just from a personality perspective, but that's like my last alternative option here. So okay.
Well, so and you'll probably remember from whenever you bought the house, this is the tough part, right? So this is where we're going to be all hands on deck to make sure we can get this done for you. Is you probably remember from when you were working with an agent, put in an offer and all that kind of stuff. It took like 30-ish days to be able to close on the house. We had to go through the title process, make sure the commitment back was clean, line up your financing, everything like that. This stuff takes time. Luckily, with us buying cash, we can do things a little bit quicker. But there still probably is a chance we're just going to have to get this on the mortgage company's desk and be like, hey, here's what we're working on. We're running and gunning. Luckily, we have a great relationship with our title company, and we're only taking on a couple more properties for this month. We're already in double digits and almost at our quota, so we're still happy to do this for you. It's just something we'll have to hit the ground running like 9 a.m. when our title company opens in the morning and make sure I have that agreement on their desk. So I'll shoot it over to you real quick so we can get it filled out. But Samantha, what's the best email for you?
It would be...
He first pulls out the underwriter, right? So we did some pullbacks earlier to see if it can get qualified, right? And this is where people don't like the huge losses. They try to be the one making the offer, and it just sounds like you're not on their team anymore, right? If you have a company, you have an actual underwriter and a process that you have to follow to make an offer, leverage that because you want to be on their team to get them the most amount of money. And so like when we look at, okay, our underwriters are going to do 70% minus repairs, that's really what we have to be at to be comfortable buying a property. So that's whenever we walk them through explaining there's cash, or closing costs, realtor fees, repairs, we're getting private money costs, all these things that are accurate about what happens when we buy a house off market. And that's why it's going to have to come at more of a discount. So the big thing too, as we were going through all that, is she didn't have the mortgage statement. So she tried to find it online. She actually found the email, or was able to log in. He said, hey, download a PDF. She says, perfect, cool. So walking someone through that, sometimes people end a call and they just don't stay in the fight long enough, right? Being able to get her to that, get the answer. The moment someone hangs up the phone, the chances of closing the deal are significantly less. And if they hang up the phone after you send the contract, it's even less again, right? So getting them to just stick it out, be like, hey, it's fine, just go look for it, I'll stay on the phone, and being able to point her to that. Now she says, okay, the principal balance is 123, I'm 14,000 behind. I'm doing, Peter's doing that math in his head, 123 plus 14 is 137, but there's a little bit of fees and principal and interest. So basically she said the accelerated payoff amount was 135. So pretty accurate. We guessed 137, it was 135. So that's what is needed to pay off the entire loan. So what he did then is he took the after repair value, he did about 65 or 70% minus some repairs, and that's how he got to the $139,000 cash offer. But now he just assumes the sale and he's creating the urgency, because there is urgency. He didn't even have to create it. I don't know why I said that. There's so much urgency because she's 10 days away from a foreclosure. Title companies aren't open on the weekends. So not only do we have to get this in, open title, make sure there's not any other liens, but we got to get the auction probably postponed if we're going to be able to close on this, and avoid the foreclosure. So him pressing that urgency of making her realize, like, if this is going to happen on time, we can't just talk about this now and then start a process next week. Like, this has got to be on our title company's desk tomorrow morning. And now he's assuming the sale, getting the email. We'll see how this finishes up, because I think we ended up actually getting the contract signed.
Well, let me see here. I'm shooting this over to you real quick. Okay. It should pop up in your email, but I'm going to go ahead and text it to you as well in case that's easier, just to open the link that way. So it should have it in your email unless you got it open, but let me just launch you a text real quick.
Yeah, it says from Ben Jensen.
Okay. Yep, that's my partner's name. So, yeah, really pretty super simple here. You'll just see at the top, make sure I've got Samantha spelled correctly. You'll see our entity name, Carruth Brothers LLC. I got the property there. Description of written property is as follows as is, so we're not going to ask you to, put a hole, patch up the holes in the garage, or, put a pool in the backyard, or anything crazy like that. So it shows the 139,600, shows that we're covering all closing costs, title fees, transfer taxes, anything like that. So other than like the mortgage debt or any other liens, there's nothing that comes out of that 139,600. 13600. The close date, that's set for next Friday. So that's going to be where we're running and gunning, making sure we can get this done in time for you. And then really just the rest of it is all real estate jargon. Pretty much it says that like we're going to use a title company, we use Independence Title. Pretty much it's saying that it's not like an under the table transaction where we just show up with a briefcase with 140 grand in it and say,
Yeah.
Samantha, right? Just that we do everything by the book. And the down count at the bottom, it just shows that, there's nothing that you and I have agreed to that's not in the arrangement. Like I'll come over and, mow your parents' grass for 5 years or maybe something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
The most imperative part is definitely that we can get this on Title's desk ASAP so they can hit the ground running with it. So
Okay.
it should just have, like, it'll have you hit like a little checkbox game where you should like hit the date at the top and then it'll ask for like your squiggle at the bottom of 1, 2, and 3. Should pop up with a finish button and it'll show back on my end. So go walk through that and I'll see it come back on my end here real quick.
Okay. And that is like confirming everything, right? Like that's just like signing off on everything?
Bingo, yes ma'am. This allows us to make sure we can stop the auction for you.
Okay. 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 Do you mind if I review it and then send it back to you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go through it with you on the phone here. Was there something you had
No,
questions about?
I would like to read through it thoroughly before I just like sign away, if that's okay.
I get so, yeah. And trust me, the last thing I want to do to you is make you feel like you're in like a super high pressure sales situation or something like that, where I'm like, sign kind of thing. But I mean, the one thing that is really tough is the time frame here.
Yeah, I get it.
We can't get it done. We're taking a 30-day process and condensing it down to like 5. So right. And we've done more with less, right? But I also can't promise. I mean, even still, there's still a chance we've got to say, hey, Mr. Mortgage Man, here's an agreement to be able to buy the house. We're going to need another 3 days or something like that. And our legal team can do some of that stuff.
Okay.
But with everything it's approved for right now, that might just affect the bottom line number because it does take our legal team a few $1,000, and I want to make sure we can put that money in your pocket.
Yeah.
So as long as we can get it done now, we can just double check that we've got the ample time frame to get it done. So I guess that's kind of my question to you is, if this did nothing more and nothing less than what I've been telling you here today, is it something we could go ahead and get figured out, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I probably just need the day to look through everything and just make sure, because I'm just processing this, right now. If that's okay with you, you'd get it by 7 a.m., 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, though.
Okay, yeah, because ultimately we would need to have it on Title's desk like 9 a.m. kind of thing, so they can hit the ground running.
A good little finish to break down, because there's a couple things I probably would have done differently, because it's hard, right? People in this spot, they do need the urgency, but they also need that same genuineness to be able to get the deal across the finish line. At the flip side of that, sometimes they got to be told what to do a little bit and get that kick in the butt to be able to make a decision, right? Because sometimes people just stick their head in the sand and they're not doing anything, right? This lady is very on top of it, very genuine, and they had a great conversation. I think the only thing that made maybe this go from a signed contract here, which we did get it in the morning, funny enough, but like I said, your odds go way down the moment you don't get a signed contract on the phone. They go down significantly, and Peter knows this, coming from door-to-door sales, like if you don't get the same day sale, you leave the house, your chance of getting the deal in that situation is significantly lower, right? But you're persuading someone to buy a product or service, now they can think about it and have that remorse, versus this, they might think about it, but they're just realizing, okay, like this problem hasn't gone away, right? There's a big enough problem that I can still get the deal. But in my opinion, like if this were me on the phone, I would have handled it a little bit differently, just to not have such a quick process on agreement to sign, right? Sometimes that window is so tight that they don't realize what just happened, and now they're getting pushed to sign the contract, right? But they haven't actually processed in their head what they've gotten, right? So it's good to make them laugh. He did a great job at making her laugh again. Like he talked about his last name, how it's long like hers, and he had to deal with that his whole life. So making someone laugh when something's starting to get uncomfortable is great, right? If it's not a big deal to you, it's not so much a big deal to them, right? He's just talking about the important things on the contract, which is, the purchase price, we're buying it as is our company's name, hers, right? This is when she's finally starting to realize that this is a real thing, right? I'm signing a contract. And so this is typically when I want to get the objection out and the uncomfortable stuff done now, versus pressure them to sign in a way. And it's not like, he was pretty open about it. Like, I don't want you to feel pressured. I want to make sure you understand all this. The way I probably would have pivoted was, hey, I know I've thrown all this at you. I know this is super tight timeline. We've talked about the urgency of this, but I do want to make sure we can get this done on time. So can you see any other situation where, selling the house is not the best option? And like basically making them come up with the last objections before we get there. Like, look, here's what we're gonna do. I got the underwriters to approve this 139,600, and getting the yes from them before they go to get the contract, right? Because her yes has basically come as assumption, right? It's good to assume a sale, but getting a hard yes of saying, hey, we got the 136,900, it's kind of like the most that our underwriters are able to do. But I mean, if we can hold that offer for you and make sure that we can get this process started tomorrow, is there any reason you would think you wouldn't get this process started right now? And getting some sort of hard yes, right? And it's kind of interesting because they don't have that much time, right? You can pretty much say like, this is what has to be done, but basically just making those last objections come out, because their objection is really going to be, do I have enough time? Like, is there anything else in the contract I'm signing, right? And so coming to the forefront of that and giving her less than, a little more than 2 minutes basically on the last second to get it closed is potentially going to give him a chance to close this on the phone. Instead, he recovers it fine, creates the urgency, says, hey, let's hop on another call. I'm sure I could play the last 30 seconds here, that he schedules a call here in the future, but let's see.
Absolutely.
I've got some other appointments I'm going to be kind of in and out of all day today, so I probably couldn't help answer any questions midday, but would it be easier to give you a ring this evening around like 6 or 7 to answer some questions, or sometime early in the morning?
That would be fine. Yeah, that's completely fine. Yeah, 6 or 7 is okay. I just want to have time to like review everything out and just make sure
I want to make sure. Yeah, I want to make sure you're comfortable with it too. So let's do that. I'll set a reminder here to make you my last appointment somewhere between like 6:30 and 7 tonight.
So he schedules a call for 6:30 or 7. Like I said, gives her the pressure, eases off at the end, make sure she can read it. People are going to have questions. They're uncomfortable when you're there, right? On the phone. I always tell people, look, I'm super busy. I want to make sure we can answer all of these, make sure you're completely comfortable. While I have you on the phone, I'm actually going to just like mute it and take, one of these other phone calls I got to do, or do X, X, and X. And if you can just go ahead and review it so I can answer while I have you, just in case I get busy later or whatever the case is, right? So that's another way you could do it. It's kind of like we do these in door-to-door. We'd walk out if the husband needed to talk to the wife, say, hey, I actually had a phone call I got to take from my manager. I'm going to step out of the room. So you can do that route, but really it's great. Set another appointment. He gets it locked up on the follow-up, actually following through on all these messages. She didn't answer that night. Great example of it. So didn't answer the phone call at night. Answered her at 8:45 in the morning. So she was thinking about it. She's obviously doing all this stuff in her head and making sure she needs to move forward, and she got it done at 8:45 in the morning, signed the documents and just sent it over. So pretty crazy. Not everyone does that, but he did a good enough job on the phone. The biggest thing again is just the last 7 minutes, 10 minutes of the call is getting the uncomfortable things out, because she didn't have, in my opinion, the last 5 to 7 minutes to really let go what was on her chest, right? She processed all of this. She realized she needed to sell, but it's really now like, hey, this process needs to start, and maybe he wouldn't even have got it closed. Maybe he had to get it closed the next day anyway. So Peter crushed it on this phone call, and he does it over and over again with these pre-foreclosure leads especially. And so hopefully this helps on how you would, speak and explain the options and really create urgency with pre-foreclosure to be able to get this deal closed. So we got this under contract at 139. We actually had to postpone the auction. I think there came up with a small lien, so the payoff went higher. So we had to pivot it to a novation where we put it on the market. Turns out that's honestly a better option because the house is in great condition. So it was a nice way to pivot it later, but we postponed it by showing them the cash contract, needing extra time to close, and working with the mortgage company. So cool deal, and hopefully that helps. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to follow us on YouTube and subscribe. We break down other live calls, and we do this podcast every single week. So follow me on Instagram at benjensen.rei and subscribe on the channel, and we'll see you guys next week.